My husband drained our joint accounts to fund his mistress, confident he'd left me penniless for the divorce. You get nothing. He spat at the lawyer's office. Then I smiled as my lawyer presented proof of my untouchable $8 million inheritance, and the secret debts now all his. The first sign something was wrong came in a pink envelope. I almost missed it buried under sympathy cards and funeral notices, but there it was. A mortgage payment rejection notice. Impossible. We had plenty of money. My name is Sierra, and 2 weeks ago I buried my mother. Today, I'm staring at proof that my comfortable life is starting to unravel. Bryant, I called out, my voice echoing through our empty house. No answer. My husband was working late again. The third time this week, I pulled up our joint account on my phone, hands shaking. The balance made my stomach drop. $800 from fee $2,216. Last I checked, we had over $50,000 in savings. I scrolled through recent transactions, each one hitting me like a punch to the gut. Hotel charges, first-class flights, a $12,000 transfer to an account I didn't recognize. The front door clicked open. Hey babe, Bryant said, loosening his tie. He smelled like expensive cologne, not his usual brand. Care to explain this? I held up the pink notice. He barely glanced at it. Must be a bank error. I'll handle it tomorrow. And the empty savings account. His face changed, then just slightly, a tightening around the eyes. You shouldn't worry about finances right now. You're grieving. Let me handle everything. Don't do that, I said. Don't use Mom's death to dodge my questions. Sierra, come on. You're emotional. It's been a rough few weeks. Stop. Just stop. I pulled up the transaction history. What's this hotel charge from last Thursday? Business meeting. In Miami? You told me you were in Chicago. He sighed, running a hand through his hair. Look, some investments didn't pan out. The market's been volatile. I had to move some money around $50,000 worth. You're not thinking clearly, he said, using that patronizing tone he'd perfected lately. Why don't you take one of your anxiety pills and get some rest? I wanted to scream, to throw something. Instead, I thought of Mom's last words to me. Patience reveals all truths. You're right, I said quietly. Why should rest? Relief flooded his face. He kissed my forehead, a gesture that now felt hollow. I've got another late meeting tomorrow. Don't wait up. That night, I lay awake remembering Mom's funeral, how Bryant kept checking his phone, how my sister Rebecca showed up late, barely spoke to me, but cornered Bryant for a lengthy conversation I couldn't hear. The next morning I called Deacon, my friend who works in forensic accounting. Can you help me trace some transactions? I asked quietly. Of course. Everything okay? No, I said, but I'm going to find out why. I spent that afternoon in my mother's empty house sorting through her papers. A photo fell from one of her folders, Mom and me at my wedding, both beaming. Bryant's arm around my waist. All lies. My phone buzzed. A text from Rebecca. How are you holding up? BTW. Did Mom ever discuss the inheritance details with you? I stared at the message. Rebecca hadn't asked how I was doing since the funeral, but she wanted to know about money. Another notification popped up, our joint credit card app, a new charge, $4,800 at Tiffany & Company. My hands were steady as I took screenshots. I forwarded them to Deacon, then opened my banking app and began documenting everything. The grief counselor Mom insisted I see before she died had said something that suddenly made sense. Sometimes the deepest betrayals come wrapped in concern. Bryant came home past midnight. I pretended to be asleep as he showered, erasing whatever evidence clung to his skin. In the darkness, I made a silent promise to my mother. I would be patient. I would be smart. And I would find out exactly what was happening to the life I thought I had. The next morning, another pink envelope arrived. This time, it was a missed payment notice for our car insurance. I added it to my growing file of evidence, right next to the funeral program, where Bryant had eulogized my mother so beautifully, calling her the wisest woman I've ever known. If only he knew just how wise she'd been, because somewhere in this house, in these papers, was the truth about my inheritance. And something told me Mom had seen this coming long before I did. I picked up my phone and called Rachel, the therapist Mom recommended. I need an appointment, I said, Today if possible. Of course, she replied. What should I put as the reason for visit? I watched another bank alert pop up on my phone, a transfer of $3,000 to an account labeled as holdings. Let's call it marriage counseling, I said for now. These aren't business expenses, Deacon said, spreading bank statements across my kitchen table, unless your husband's company routinely holds meetings at the Four Seasons Resort in Maui. I sipped my coffee, now cold. We've been at this for hours. Show me everything. First-class tickets to Miami booked for 2, suite reservations, jewelry purchases, lots of them. And this, he pointed to a highlighted line, a down payment on a luxury condo through Paradise Valley Real Estate Trust. We don't own property in Paradise Valley. No, Deacon said carefully. But someone named Amber Santos does, and Bryant's signature is all over the paperwork. The name hit me like ice water. Amber. I'd seen it before somewhere. Here. I pulled up my phone scrolling through old texts. 3 months ago, Bryant mentioned hiring a new marketing coordinator named Amber. 27 years old, Deacon added, pulling up her LinkedIn profile. Started at Bryant's company 8 months ago. My coffee mug shattered against the wall before I even realized I'd thrown it. Sierra, I'm fine. I wasn't. Keep going. The condo closed 2 weeks ago, right after your mother's funeral. While I was picking out my mother's casket, my husband was picking out real estate with his mistress. My phone buzzed. Rachel, my therapist, confirming our afternoon appointment. Thank God. There's more, Deacon said. The down payment, it came from your joint savings, but the monthly payments are being auto-drafted from an account I can't trace yet. Can you get photos? He hesitated. Already did. Had my PI friend watch the condo. He slid an envelope across the table. You sure you want to see these? I opened it. Bryant and a young woman with long dark hair entering the Paradise Valley condo, him carrying takeout bags, her laughing. Another shot. Them on the balcony, his arms around her waist, the same way he used to hold me. The final photo, them kissing in the parking lot next to his car, the same car I'd helped him pick out last year. When were these taken? Yesterday, during his late meeting. My phone buzzed again. Bryant. Working late again? Don't wait up. Love you. I showed Deacon the text. He swore under his breath. There's one more thing he said. Your sister Rebecca. She called Bryant's office multiple times before your mother died, always asking for him directly. The pieces clicked. Rebecca's sudden interest in the inheritance, her private conversation with Bryant at the funeral. I need to go, I said, gathering the photos. I have therapy. Rachel's office was exactly as Mom described it. Calm, peaceful, everything I wasn't feeling. Tell me what's happening, Rachel said after I sat down. I placed the photos on her coffee table. My husband is sleeping with his marketing coordinator and spending my money to keep her in luxury. How did you discover this? Bounced mortgage payments, empty accounts. Then I started digging. I laughed bitterly. Mom always said I was too trusting. Guess she was right. Your mother meant a lot to you. She was brilliant, successful, built her own empire after Dad left. I wiped my eyes. She tried warning me about Bryant last year. Said he asked too many questions about her estate. And, how did you respond? I defended him, said he was just being thorough. My voice cracked. I'm such an idiot. You're not an idiot, Rachel said firmly. You're someone who's experienced multiple betrayals while grieving. What do you want to do about it? I thought about the photos, the empty accounts, the lies. I want to destroy him, I whispered. Not just leave him, destroy him. That's a normal feeling, but revenge? No. I cut her off. You don't understand. Mom left me something important. I need to find it before Bryant does. Rachel leaned forward. What did she leave you? I don't know exactly, but the day before she died, she made me promise to read her will carefully. Said there were provisions for protection. My phone buzzed. Deacon found something. Come quick. I have to go, I told Rachel standing. Sierra, she called as I reached the door. Whatever you're planning, be careful. Revenge can burn both ways. I thought of the photos. Bryant and Amber laughing on that balcony I'd unknowingly paid for. Sometimes, I said, things need to burn. Outside, another text waited. Rebecca. We need to talk about Mom's estate. Bryant mentioned some concerns. I deleted it without responding. Let them think I was still the grieving, clueless wife. They'd learned soon enough just how much my mother's daughter had learned about patience and payback. $8 million, Deacon said, sliding the trust document across his desk. Your mother put everything in a protected trust. Bryant can't touch it. Not a single penny. I read through the paperwork, my hands trembling. What does this mean? It means your mother was a genius. Deacon pointed to specific clauses. The trust requires your sole authorization for any withdrawals. No joint access. No spousal rights. She even included a clause preventing access through power of attorney. So all this time, all the money Brian's been spending, it came from your joint accounts, not the trust. He probably thought he'd get access to the trust after draining your liquid assets. I remembered Mom's last conversation with me, how she'd squeezed my hand and said, "Sometimes love blinds us to truth. That's why we need safety nets." My phone buzzed. Bryant, need to transfer more money for business expenses? What's the holdup with the accounts? I ignored it. What happens now? Well, Deacon smiled. Legally, you can close all joint accounts with just your signature. The trust gives you that power. Do it, I said. Close everything. Already did this morning. My phone buzzed again. Multiple notifications from our banking app. Bryant would be seeing them too. He's going to be furious, I said. Let him. Every purchase he made with Amber, every hotel stay, every flight, it's all documented. And since he moved the money to private accounts without your consent, it's technically financial fraud. A knock at the office door made us both jump. Rebecca stood there perfectly manicured and wearing our mother's old pearls. Sorry to interrupt, she said, not sounding sorry at all. I've been trying to reach you, Sierra. I've been busy, so I see. Her eyes flickered to the trust documents. Having money troubles? Nothing I can't handle. Bryant seems worried. He called me yesterday. Of course he did. I stood up. Tell me, Rebecca, how long have you been feeding him information about Mom's estate? She flinched, just slightly, but enough. I don't know what you're talking about. Phone records don't lie, sis. All those calls to his office before Mom died, did he promise to share the money once he got his hands on it? He was concerned about you, she said, but her voice wavered. After Mom changed her will? This was new. Rebecca's face went pale. I shouldn't have said that. No. Please continue. Tell me how you and my husband conspired to steal my inheritance while my mother was dying. It wasn't like that. She stepped forward. Mom always favored you. Everything was always for you. Bryant understood how unfair. Get out. My voice was ice. Now. After she left, Deacon whistled low. Your sister's involved deeper than we thought. Doesn't matter. She failed. I picked up the trust documents. They all failed. My phone rang. Bryant, I answered on speaker. What the hell did you do? He shouted, all our accounts are closed. Our accounts? I kept my voice calm. You mean the accounts you've been using to fund your love nest with Amber? Silence. Sierra, I can explain. No need. The Four Seasons receipts explained plenty. So did the photos. Photos? You had me followed. His voice cracked. Baby, please. We can work this out. The money. I'll pay it all back. With what money, Bryant? The trust you thought you'd get access to. Another long silence. How did you know about the trust? Mom told me everything would be protected. I just didn't understand what she meant until now. I paused. By the way, those credit cards you've been using, they're all in your name only. Enjoy the debt. You bitch. I hung up. That, Deacon said, was ice cold. No, I replied. That was just the beginning. My phone buzzed with a text from Rachel. How are you holding up? I typed back, getting stronger every day. Another message popped up from an unknown number. This is Amber. We need to talk. I showed Deacon the message. Don't respond, he warned. Not yet. Let them sweat. I gathered my things, including copies of the trust documents. I need to go home. There's something in Mom's papers I need to find. The changed will Rebecca mentioned? Yes. Mom never told me about any changes. I headed for the door, and I need to know why. Sierra, Deacon called after me. Whatever you find, remember your mother protected you for a reason. Don't let revenge make you sloppy. I thought of Bryant and Rebecca plotting behind my back, of Amber in that luxury condo, of all the lies. Don't worry, I said. I learned patience from the best. Outside, the sun was setting. Somewhere across town, Bryant was probably panicking, realizing his carefully laid plans were crumbling. Good. Mom always said karma works on its own timeline, but sometimes karma needs a little help. The memory hit me as I sorted through Mom's papers. Rebecca, age 16, screaming at our mother, "You always loved her more." I was 18 then. Mom had just announced she was paying for my college tuition. Rebecca's grades weren't good enough for the same offer. Now, 15 years later, I found what I was looking for. Mom's original will dated 3 months before her death, and there, paperclip to it, a handwritten note. "My dearest Sierra, if you're reading this, someone has betrayed you. Call this number. Love, Mom." My hands shook as I dialed. Harrison and Wade Law Offices, a receptionist answered. "I need to speak with Kelvin Wade." My mother was Louisa Reynolds. Silence, then. "One moment, please." A deep voice came on the line. "Sierra, I've been waiting for your call." "You knew my mother?" "I was her lawyer for 20 years. She left specific instructions about the changed will." "What changes?" "Not over the phone." "Can you come in?" "Now?" 40 minutes later, I sat in a plush office while Kelvin, a distinguished man in his late 40s, pulled out a thick file. "3 months ago, your mother received an interesting phone call," he began. "From your sister." "Rebecca?" "Yes. She was, shall we say, concerned about your husband's financial interests in the estate." My stomach turned. "What did she tell Mom?" "That Bryant had been asking detailed questions about your mother's assets, about transfer rights after death, about ways to access trust funds through spousal privilege." "Son of a bitch," I whispered. "Your mother was very calm about it. She said, 'Now I know who to watch.'" Kelvin smiled. "That's when she changed her will." He handed me a document. "She removed the standard inheritance structure and created the protected trust, but there's more." I scanned the papers. "What am I looking at?" "Your mother added a clause. Any debts incurred by your spouse using joint assets can be legally transferred to his sole responsibility." "Wait." I sat up straighter. "You mean all those charges Bryant made? The hotels? The condo? The gifts for his mistress? They're his debt now. Only his." A laugh bubbled up from my chest, half joy, half disbelief. "There's something else," Kelvin said. "Your sister's call wasn't the only warning sign. We traced a series of emails between Bryant and Rebecca dating back 6 months before your mother's death." He pushed a folder across the desk. Inside were printed emails, dozens of them. "I can get half the trust fund if we play this right," Bryant had written. "Just keep feeding me information about your mother's estate plans." Rebecca's response, "What's in it for me?" 20%. "Once I have control, I'll make sure you get what you deserve." My vision blurred with tears of rage, of grief, of vindication. "Mom knew," I whispered. "She knew, and she protected me anyway." "She did more than that," Kelvin said. "She left you a weapon." My phone buzzed. Bryant again. "Please call me. We need to talk about the accounts. What do I do now?" I asked Kelvin. "That depends. Do you want justice, or do you want revenge? Is there a difference? Justice follows the law. Revenge follows the heart." He leaned forward. "Lucky for you, your mother's will allows for both." Another buzz. "Rebecca." Brian's freaking out. "What did you do?" "Can you help me?" I asked Kelvin. "To do this right? Your mother retained my services for you, paid in full." He smiled. "She said you'd need a shark." I showed him my phone with both messages displayed. "Tell them nothing," he advised. "Let them worry. Meanwhile, we'll start the paperwork to transfer all debt to Bryant's name." "And Rebecca?" "The emails prove conspiracy to commit financial fraud. She's not as protected as she thinks." I stood to leave feeling stronger than I had in weeks. "Sierra," Kelvin called after me. "Your mother said something else." She said, "Tell her to remember the garden. The garden where Mom taught me to pull weeds. You have to get the roots," she'd said. "Otherwise they just grow back stronger." "I understand," I told Kelvin. "When can we start?" "We already have. I filed the first motion this morning." Outside, the sun was shining. My phone buzzed again. Amber, your husband isn't who you think he is. I actually laughed out loud. No. Bryant wasn't who I thought he was, but then again, neither was I. Time to do some weeding, I whispered and headed to my next therapy appointment. I had a lot to tell Rachel about karma, justice, and the difference between revenge and righteousness. Mom always said every garden needs pruning sometimes. Bryant and Rebecca were about to learn exactly what that meant. All assets have been frozen, Kelvin announced, sliding the court order across his desk. And every debt Bryant incurred has been legally transferred to his name only. How bad is it? I asked. The condo down payment, his debt, the credit card charges, his debt, the luxury car lease for Amber, his debt. Kelvin's smile was predatory. Roughly $428,000 in total. My phone lit up. Bryant calling again. You should answer it, Kelvin suggested. On speaker. I pressed the green button. What the hell is happening? Bryant's voice cracked. The bank just called. They're foreclosing on the condo. Really? The one you bought for Amber? Sierra, please. I can explain everything. Like you explained the empty accounts, the bounced mortgage payments, the jewelry receipts. I made some mistakes, he said. But this is cruel. You're destroying my life. No, Bryant. I'm just making you pay your own bills. The credit card companies are calling. They're saying everything's in my name now. How did you? Mom's will had some interesting clauses, I cut in. About protecting her daughter from financial fraud? Silence. You knew about the trust, he finally said. All this time? No. Mom knew about you all this time. The line went dead. Kelvin nodded approvingly. Well handled. Now, about your sister? A commotion outside interrupted him. Rebecca burst through the door, face flushed. You vindictive bitch, she screamed. Brian just lost everything. Funny how karma works, I replied calmly. He was trying to help me. Mom left me nothing. Nothing. He promised to share the money once he stole it from me. I stood up. Those emails between you two were pretty clear about the plan. She paled. What emails? The ones where you agreed to help Bryant steal my inheritance for 20%. I stepped closer. Tell me, what's 20% of zero? Miss Reynolds, Kelvin interrupted smoothly, you're not authorized to be here. And given the evidence of conspiracy to commit fraud, I suggest you leave before we contact the authorities. Rebecca's hands trembled. You can't prove anything. Actually, I pulled out my phone, playing a recording. We can. Her own voice filled the room. Just keep feeding me information about your mother's estate plans. You recorded our calls? She whispered. No, Mom did. Right after you warned her about Bryant's questions? I smiled. She didn't just change her will that day. She started gathering evidence. Rebecca stumbled backward. This isn't fair. You always got everything. I got what I earned, I snapped. While you were partying through college, I was helping Mom build her business. While you were demanding handouts, I was learning from her. Ladies, Kelvin warned. Let's keep this professional. My phone buzzed. Amber again. We need to meet. There's something you should know. I showed Kelvin the message. Set it up, he advised, but in public. And wear this. He handed me a small recording device. Rebecca was still standing there, shell-shocked. What happens now? Now? I gathered my things. Now you get to watch everything fall apart just like you and Bryant planned for me. I'll tell everyone what you did, she threatened. How you ruined him. Go ahead. Tell them how Mom's will protected me from my husband's attempt to steal my inheritance. Tell them how you helped him plan it during her final months. I reached the door. Tell them everything. Outside, another text waited. Bryant, please, I'm begging you. The banks are calling in all the loans. I forwarded it to Kelvin with a simple message. Start the divorce proceedings. My next stop was Rachel's office. She listened quietly as I explained everything. How do you feel? She asked when I finished. Powerful, I admitted, but also tired. Revenge takes energy, she noted. Are you ready for what comes next? You mean meeting Amber? I mean living with the consequences of all of it. I thought about Mom's last lesson about gardens and weeds and patience. I'm not doing this for revenge anymore, I said. I'm doing it for truth. My phone lit up. A message from Deacon. Just trace the money trail. You need to see this. Amber isn't who we thought. Then another text from Amber herself. Starbucks tomorrow, 2 p.m. There's something about Bryant you need to know. I showed Rachel the messages. Be careful, she warned. Sometimes the truth is more complicated than we expect. I know, I said, touching the recording device in my pocket, but Mom always said knowledge is power. And tomorrow, I'd find out just how powerful the truth could be. Amber was already waiting when I arrived at Starbucks, stirring her drink with perfectly manicured nails. She looked younger in person than in the surveillance photos, barely pushing 30. Thanks for meeting me, she said as I sat down. Let's skip the pleasantries. I placed my phone on the table, recording Apu running. You wanted to talk, so talk. She smiled. Not the guilty smile I expected, but something sharper. You think you know what's happening here, don't you? I know my husband drained our accounts to keep you in luxury. Your husband, she laughed, is an idiot. And you're not the first wife he's tried to rob. That hit me like a slap. What? Bryant was married before. Did he tell you that? To a woman in Florida, left her bankrupt too. I gripped my coffee cup tighter. You're lying. Amber pulled out her phone, pulled up documents. Margaret Stevens, married to Bryant Clayton for 14 months in 02/2018. He cleaned out their joint accounts, claimed business investments gone wrong, then disappeared. How do you know this? Because I'm not really a marketing coordinator. She leaned forward. I work for an insurance fraud investigation unit. Brian's been on our radar for years. My head spun. You're investigating him. We track people who marry into money, drain accounts, then vanish. Bryant's done it twice before you. She showed me more documents. The condo, the gifts, all evidence. We needed him to establish a pattern. So, you're not sleeping with him? She grimaced. God, no. But I needed him to think I was the perfect mark, young, naive, ready to help him hide assets. I sat back processing. Does he know that I'm investigating him? No. He thinks I'm helping him set up offshore accounts for your mother's money? She smiled again. He has no idea those accounts are monitored by federal agents. My phone buzzed. Deacon. Found something about Amber. Call a sap. Already figured it out, I texted back. Here's the thing, Amber continued. We have enough to arrest him for fraud, but with your help, we could make sure he never does this to anyone else. What do you need? Keep playing along. Let him think his plan is working. When he tries to transfer the trust money, he can't access the trust. I interrupted. Mom made sure of that. We know, but he doesn't. And when he tries, when he submits those forged documents he's been working on, my breath caught. Forged documents. Your sister's been helping him create fake trust transfer papers. They're pretty good forgeries too. Amber pulled out more photos. These were taken last week. The images showed Bryant and Rebecca in her office bent over papers. My blood boiled. What's the plan? I asked. Let him file the papers. The moment he does, we can add forgery and attempted trust fraud to the charges. She handed me a card. My real contact information. The investigation team will need your cooperation. My phone buzzed again. Bryant, I found a way to fix everything. Meeting with the bank tomorrow. Please don't do anything rash. I showed Amber the message. Perfect timing, she said. He's going to try using the forged documents tomorrow. And Rebecca, she'll be charged as an accomplice unless Amber paused. Unless you want to give her a chance to flip on Bryant first. I thought about my sister's betrayal. Her jealousy, her greed. No. Let her learn the hard way. You're sure she's still your sister? She stopped being my sister the moment she helped plan this during our mother's final months. Amber nodded. Fair enough. Oh, and Sierra? I'm sorry about your mum. She seemed like an amazing woman. She was. I stood up. She taught me to always look for the truth even when it hurts. One more thing, Amber called as I turned to leave. Brian's planning to run. He bought plane tickets to the Cayman Islands for next week. Let me guess. First class? Of course. Using your credit card. I smiled. Except it's his credit card now, and it's about to be declined. Outside, I called Kelvin. Did you meet with Amber? He asked. Yes. And we need to move fast. Brian's making his play tomorrow. The forged documents. You knew? We've been working with the fraud unit for weeks. Your mother contacted them before she died. Of course she did. Mom always played the long game. I had one more call to make. To Rachel. How did it go? She asked. Better than expected. Turns out Mom wasn't just protecting me from a thief, she was helping catch one. And how does that make you feel? I watched another text from Bryant pop up. Baby, please, I love you. Let me make this right. Like my mother's daughter, I replied, ready to finish what she started. Tomorrow, Brian would learn the true cost of underestimating not just one, but 3 women. My mother who saw him coming, Amber who tracked him down, and me who would make sure he never did this again. The courthouse hallway felt colder than I remembered. Bryant sat on a bench outside the courtroom, head in his hands, his expensive suit now wrinkled. Rebecca paced nearby, shooting nervous glances at the federal agent standing by the door. Ready? Kelvin asked, touching my arm. More than ready. We entered courtroom B just as Bryant's lawyer was setting up his documents, the forged ones, though he didn't know that yet. All rise, the bailiff called. Judge Martinez took her seat, reviewing the papers before her. This is regarding the Reynolds trust dispute and divorce proceedings. Yes, Your Honor. Bryant's lawyer stepped forward. We have documentation proving my client's right to access the trust funds as a marital asset. Objection. Kelvin stood. Your Honor, before we proceed, we have evidence that those documents are forgeries. The room erupted in whispers. Bryant's face went pale. That's a serious accusation, Judge Martinez warned. We have federal agents present who can verify the forgery charges. Kelvin gestured to Amber, who stood in her official capacity, badge displayed. Along with evidence of a pattern of similar financial fraud in other states, Bryant jumped up. This is ridiculous. Sierra, tell them. Sit down, Mr. Clayton, the judge ordered. Miss Reynolds, do you wish to make a statement? I stood, my voice steady. Yes, Your Honor. Those documents were forged by my husband and sister in an attempt to steal my inheritance. We have surveillance photos, email evidence, and testimony from federal investigators proving this conspiracy. Rebecca gasped. Bryant's lawyer frantically flipped through his papers. Furthermore, I continued, my mother's will specifically protected against this type of fraud. All debts incurred by my husband using our joint assets have been legally transferred to his name alone. Your Honor, Bryant's lawyer interrupted. We weren't aware of any federal investigation because your client was the target. Amber stepped forward, presenting her credentials. Mr. Clayton has a history of marrying wealthy women, attempting to seize their assets, then disappearing. We've been tracking him for months. Judge Martinez examined the evidence files. Mr. Clayton, do you have anything to say about these allegations? Bryant stood straightening his tie. Your Honor, this is all a misunderstanding. My wife is emotional after her mother's death. The death you discussed with my sister while planning to steal my inheritance, I interrupted. The death that you saw as an opportunity, Miss Reynolds, the judge warned. But I could see approval in her eyes. Your Honor, Kelvin spoke up. We have recorded conversations between Mr. Clayton and Rebecca Reynolds plotting this theft during Mrs. Reynolds' final months. Would you like to hear them? Rebecca burst forward. It wasn't my idea. Bryant said we'd split the money. Shut up, Bryant shouted. Order. Judge Martinez banged her gavel. Mr. Clayton, based on this evidence, I'm denying all claims to the trust funds. Furthermore, I'm authorizing the federal agents to take you into custody for questioning regarding multiple fraud charges. 2 agents moved forward as Bryant tried to bolt for the door. They caught him easily. Sierra, please, he begged as they cuffed him. I did it for us. No, I said quietly. You did it for you, just like you did to Margaret in Florida. His face crumpled at the mention of his previous wife. How did you? Your girlfriend isn't really your girlfriend, I smiled, but she is really good at her job. Amber stepped forward, showing her badge again. Mr. Clayton, you're under arrest for multiple counts of fraud, forgery, and attempted theft. You have the right to remain silent. Rebecca tried to slip out during the chaos, but another agent stopped her. Miss Reynolds, we'll need you to come with us too. Conspiracy charges. Sierra, she pleaded. I'm your sister. You stopped being my sister the moment you helped him plan this during Mom's final days. Judge Martinez banged her gavel again. In light of these developments, I'm granting an immediate divorce decree. Miss Reynolds, the trust remains solely in your name, and all debts incurred by Mr. Clayton are his responsibility alone. I watched as they led Bryant and Rebecca away in handcuffs. Your mother would be proud, Kelvin said softly. My phone buzzed. Rachel, how did it go? I typed back, justice served, Mom's way. Outside the courthouse, Amber caught up with me. We'll need you to testify when this goes to federal court. I'll be there, I promised, for Margaret too. You know what's funny? Amber said. Bryant kept calling you naive, but your mother built this trap months ago and he walked right into it. I thought about Mom's last words to me. Sometimes the best revenge is simply letting truth come to light. She was right as always. The truth had come to light, and it had burned brighter than any revenge I could have planned. Now I just had one last thing to do. Visit Mom's grave and tell her how it all played out. She'd appreciate that. She always did love a good story about justice served. Did bringing him down give you peace? Rachel asked, studying my face across her office. I placed a newspaper on her coffee table. The headline read, Financial Predator Sentenced. Man Gets 12 Years for Multi-State Fraud Scheme. Not peace exactly, I said, but clarity. Tell me about the sentencing. Bryant cried when they read the verdict, begged for mercy, claimed he'd changed. I laughed softly. The judge wasn't moved, especially after Margaret testified about how he'd left her homeless. And your sister, 3 years with restitution payments, she wrote me a letter from jail trying to explain. I pulled out the crumpled paper. Want to hear it? Rachel nodded. Dear Sierra, I read. I've had time to think about what jealousy cost me, not just my freedom, but my sister, my family. Mom would be so ashamed. I stopped folding the letter. I haven't written back. Will you? I don't know. Some bridges stay burned. My phone buzzed. Amber, just closed another case. Your mom's trust structure helped us catch 3 more guys running similar scams. Thank you. Mom's still helping people. I showed Rachel the message, even now. Speaking of your mother, Rachel said, tell me about your visit to her grave. I touched the fresh-cut roses in my bag, waiting to be delivered there after our session. I go every Sunday, tell her about the week, about the lives she saved by stopping Bryant. What would she say about everything that's happened? She'd probably quote her favorite saying, the truth doesn't need revenge to win. It just needs time to surface. Rachel smiled. Wise woman, she really was. I stood up, gathering my things. Which reminds me, I have something for you. I handed her an envelope. Inside was a check and a note. What's this? Mom prepaid for my therapy before she died, but she also left instructions to thank you properly once everything was over. I gestured to the check. That's for your domestic violence support program. Rachel's eyes widened at the amount. Sierra, this is too much. Mom said you'd say that. She also said to tell you, help the next one who needs to find her strength. Outside, the autumn air was crisp. I drove to the cemetery, roses in hand, and sat by Mom's grave. Hey, Mom, I said softly. Bryant's going away for a long time. Margaret got her restitution money. Rebecca. Well, she's learning some hard lessons. A breeze rustled the flowers. Amber called today. Your trust fund setup is helping catch other predators. You're still protecting people just like always. My phone buzzed. Deacon, dinner tonight? Got someone I want you to meet. Not ready, I texted back. Just dinner, he replied. No pressure. She's a forensic accountant too. Thinks your mom's estate planning was brilliant. I smiled, remembering Mom's words. Life keeps moving, Sierra. So should you. Okay, Mom, I said to the grave. Maybe you're right. Again. I laid the roses down and stood up. But something caught my eye. Another fresh bouquet, white lilies, Rebecca's favorite. A note nestled among them read, I'm sorry for everything. Ah, my throat tightened. Mom's voice echoed in my memory. Forgiveness isn't about forgetting. It's about choosing peace over pain. Still teaching me, I whispered, still guiding me. I took out my phone and pulled up Rebecca's last letter. Maybe some bridges could be rebuilt slowly, carefully, with better foundations. Dinner sounds good, I texted Deacon. But first, I need to write a letter. Sitting by Mom's grave, I began typing, Dear Rebecca, Mom always said truth needs time to surface. Maybe that applies to healing too. A final message popped up from Rachel. Remember what your mother said about gardens? Sometimes after weeding, new things can grow. I looked at the roses and lilies side by side on Mom's grave. Different flowers but both reaching for the same sun. I know, Mom, I said softly. I know. Time to plant something new. Standing up, I felt lighter somehow, not healed, not completely, but ready. Ready to see what might grow in this garden I'd cleared of weeds. Ready to honor Mom's legacy not just through justice, but through growth. After all, that's what she'd really been protecting all along. Not just my money or my future, but my chance to bloom again after the storm. And somewhere, I knew she was smiling, watching her daughter finally step into the sun,